The booth by the window wobbles when you set your phone down. Face down, the way you always leave it. Keisha is across from you, stirring something she already finished, and the pendant lamp between you makes her earrings glow. The Thai restaurant is almost empty. 8 tables, 2 rows of 4, the same silver tape holding the third booth together, the same TV in the corner, playing something no one is watching. You pick the phone up. You look at the number. You put it back. $87,412. Keisha doesn't ask. She never does. She reaches for the check and splits it down the middle, the way she has every time you've sat in this booth, and the receipt she tears off slides under the table leg to stop the wobble. You let her. You don't say anything. You haven't said anything in 12 months. The counter in your mother's kitchen smelled like bleach at every hour. Donna scrubbed it after every meal, and sometimes between meals, and sometimes at 11 at night when she couldn't sleep because her back hurt from 12 hours at the hotel. Her reading glasses sat pushed up on her forehead. Her hands were dry and cracked at the knuckles. She folded towels the way the hotel taught her, in thirds, tucked, stacked, and she folded the ones at home the same way because her hands didn't know another way to do it. You were 11 the first time she said it. You were sitting at that counter doing math homework, and she set a glass of water in front of you without being asked and said, "You're going to school so you never have to do this." You looked up. You said, "Do what?" She didn't answer. She just wiped the counter again, the part she'd already wiped, and you understood that the question was not a question, and the answer was everything she was standing in. You walked into it. You graduated. You got the job with the title and the lanyard and the desk near the window. You told Donna, and she cried, and you let her because she had earned that cry more than you had earned the desk. Your first payslip said $4,200 at the top. It said $2,814 at the bottom. The number at the top was the one you told people. The number at the bottom was the one that was actually yours. You folded the payslip into thirds, the way Donna folds towels, and put it in the drawer where you keep things you don't want to look at twice. The spreadsheet on your laptop had 14 rows: rent, car, insurance, phone, electric, internet, minimum on the credit card, groceries, estimated, always wrong, gas, the subscription you forgot to cancel, the other subscription you forgot to cancel, student loan, renter's insurance. The number at the bottom was $212. Not a crisis, not an emergency. $212 is not a disaster. It is the specific grinding middle where nothing breaks and nothing moves, and the only thing you feel is the absence of the thing you were supposed to feel by now. The fridge hums, the laptop glows. The $212 sits there like a dare. Keisha texted, "You free Thursday? The Thai place?" You opened the menu on your phone before you replied. You checked the pad CU. $14.95. You checked the spring rolls. $8.50. You did the math against the $212, and then you typed, "Sure, 8 works." And you pressed send and put the phone down and felt the small, familiar shame of being a person who checks the price of pad CU before agreeing to dinner. You have checked prices before every meal out for longer than you can remember, before every coffee that wasn't made at home, before every tank of gas, comparing 2 stations 3 blocks apart to save 11 cents a gallon, before every birthday gift, every oil change, every bottle of shampoo when the old one ran out. The checking doesn't save much, maybe $40 a month, maybe less. But the checking is not about the money. The checking is about the feeling that comes right before the checking, the small tightness behind your sternum that says you do not know if this is fine, and you need to know if this is fine before you can do the next thing. You have never told anyone that you do this. Not Keisha, not Donna, not the coworker who suggested the lunch place downtown where the salads start at $19. You smiled and said, "Sounds great," and checked the menu in the bathroom. The laptop was still open. The spreadsheet was still there. You closed it and opened nothing. You left the building at 6 like you always do. Parking garage, level 3, the fluorescent light at the end of the row buzzing the way it always buzzes. The oil stain near the pillar that has been there since before you started. Your car was in the same spot. Your bag was on your shoulder. The day was over the way every day was over. Not finished, just stopped. The woman was loading supplies into a van. Commercial-grade floor buffer, industrial mop buckets, a flat of disinfectant concentrate and shrink wrap. She worked fast, like she'd done it enough times that her body didn't need her brain for it. She wore canvas work boots and a jacket with a company name you couldn't read from across the garage. Her keys hung from a carabiner clipped to her belt loop, and they clinked every time she bent into the van. She drove a newer SUV than yours. That was the thing you noticed. Not the supplies, not the hours, the SUV. The next night, same time, she was back. You held the elevator door. She stepped in smelling like industrial floor cleaner and said, "Thanks, 16 floors tonight." She exhaled like 16 floors was just a Tuesday. "That's a lot," you said. "It's 3 buildings," she said. "You get used to it." Her name was on the jacket, Nadine. She did not say her last name, and you did not ask. The elevator opened, and she walked to the van, and you walked to your car, and you sat there for 4 minutes doing math you hadn't asked yourself to do. 16 floors of commercial office space. Even at 10 cents a square foot, and 10 cents was low, you'd looked it up on your phone while the engine idled. That was more than your bi-weekly paycheck. In one night. You were embarrassed that you'd done the math at all. You put the car in reverse and drove home and thought about the number all the way there and told no one. You drove to the strip mall with the supplies in the trunk, and your hands were cold on the steering wheel, even though it was September. You had told yourself 6 different reasons this was a bad idea, between the apartment and the highway on-ramp, and then you got on the highway anyway, and by the time you pulled into the lot, the reasons had gone quiet, the way reasons do when the body has already decided. The strip mall parking lot was empty at 10:30 on a Tuesday night. 3 offices and a dental practice. The streetlight at the far end flickered twice every 30 seconds, and you counted because you were stalling. You had signed the dental practice that afternoon. The building manager, Gerald, had stubble and a coffee mug with a brown ring inside it that had been there longer than his job. He read your quote on a clipboard, didn't look up, and said, "That's fine." He said it the way people say things that don't matter to them. It mattered to you. $480 a month, 4 visits, once a week, 1,200 square feet of waiting room, hallway, and 2 exam rooms. You had bought the supplies 4 days earlier: cart, mop, bucket, floor solution, glass cleaner, microfiber cloths, vacuum, a caddy for the bathroom kit. $2,187 on the credit card you just paid down to 0. The balance sat on your phone like a bruise. You put on the gray hoodie. You put in your headphones. You unlocked the side door with the key Gerald had given you, and the fluorescent lights blinked on, 1 row at a time, the way they do in buildings that aren't expecting anyone. You mopped from the back to the front, because that was how it made sense, and because you'd watched 4 videos at 2 in the morning the week before about commercial cleaning technique, and because nobody was there to tell you the right way or the wrong way, or any way at all. The exam rooms were small and bright and smelled like adhesive. The floors were vinyl. You cleaned the glass partition and watched the parking lot through it while the solution dried. 1 car passed. Nobody saw you. You finished at 1:40. You sat in your car with the heater running and logged the time in a composition notebook you'd bought at the drugstore for $3.49. Below the time you wrote, $480 per month, one of three. By the end of the month, you had 3 contracts, 1 dental practice, 1 tax office, 1 insurance brokerage. Revenue, $1,400. You did not post about it. You did not call Donna. You put the notebook in the glove compartment and drove home and brushed your teeth and got 4 hours of sleep before the job that had a title. The one everyone knew about. The composition notebook got messier. Crossouts and arrows and figures in the margins that only made sense to you. A coffee ring on the cover from the night you set it on the dashboard and forgot. The binding was starting to separate. Revenue month 3, $4,800 across 4 contracts. You wrote the number at the top of the page and circled it. And below it, you wrote your day job take-home, $3,400. The cleaning income was higher by $1,400, and you stared at the 2 numbers for a long time, side by side, and did not turn the page. Month 4, you hired Rosa. She used to clean rooms at the same hotel chain Donna still works for. She arrived 15 minutes early on her first night. She kept her phone in a Ziploc bag while she cleaned. She said, "Show me the route once and I'll have it." You showed her once. She had it. You paid her $18 an hour, and she never once asked why you'd started this. Revenue month 5, $11,200. 9 contracts, 2 crews. You were cleaning 3 nights a week yourself and managing the rest from your phone during lunch at the desk near the window, the one with the lanyard, the one Donna could say out loud. Donna found out at a Sunday dinner. You still don't know how. Maybe Rosa, maybe the insurance paperwork that came to the wrong address. She set her fork down and it clinked against the plate and the table went quiet, the way tables go quiet when the air changes. "I thought you had a degree," she said. You said nothing. There was no version of the answer she would hear the way you meant it. You drove home. You checked the notebook. The building manager networking coffee was on a Wednesday morning. That was where you met Lorraine. She wore steel-toed boots and a company polo that had been washed so many times, the logo was just an outline. She ran 3 junk removal trucks, hauled debris from construction sites, estate cleanouts, foreclosure clears. She mentioned her revenue the way people mention the weather. "Yeah, 94 last month," she said. And then she sipped her coffee and asked if you knew anyone who needed dumpster space. 94,000. From junk removal. She said it and moved on. You wrote the number in the margin of the notebook. You wrote it small, like it might hear you. Revenue month 7. $38,600. 3 crews. 14 commercial contracts, the largest a 4-story medical office building on a 3-visit weekly rotation. You didn't clean anymore. You managed routes, invoices, supply orders, and client calls from your apartment before 9 in the morning. And then you put on the lanyard and went to the desk near the window and answered emails about quarterly reports that paid you $3,400 a month. The gray hoodie hung on the back of your desk chair at home. You wore it to site checks on Saturday mornings when the buildings were empty. You wore it the way you'd always worn it, headphones in, sleeves pushed up. But the context had shifted underneath it, and the hoodie hadn't changed. And that was the whole point. Keisha didn't know. Your coworkers didn't know. Donna didn't know. And you were not ready for her to know again, because the last time had been the fork on the plate, and the silence after, and the drive home with the radio off. The respectable job was now the smaller income, and you had not told a single person because telling someone would require a sentence you had not built yet. The strip mall lease signing was for a second supply closet. You needed the space for inventory now. Constance was in the leasing office for her own unit. She owned 4 laundromats across 2 counties. She wore a hoodie and sneakers and sat in the plastic chair like she'd signed leases before and would sign them again, and none of it required a different outfit. She drove a 10-year-old Honda with a cracked windshield she hadn't bothered to fix. "What kind of business?" the leasing agent asked you. "Facility services," you said. It was the first time you'd used that phrase. It came out of your mouth like it had been waiting there, fully formed, behind your teeth. Constance looked at you. She nodded, once, slow, the way you nod when you understand exactly what someone is not saying, and you're not going to make them say it. You signed the lease. She signed hers. You walked to the parking lot together and she said, "The Honda runs fine." And you laughed, because she hadn't been asked. Revenue month 10, $52,000. The coffee shop was bright in the morning, and you were reviewing invoices on your laptop. The numbers didn't mean anything unusual anymore, because by now the numbers had become the notebook, and the notebook had become the mornings, and the mornings were just what you did before the other job. The woman at the next table was younger, early 20s. She was scrolling job listings on her phone with her thumb, the way you scroll when you don't know what you're looking for, but you know what you're avoiding. She paused on something. Her nose wrinkled. She scrolled past it quickly, the way you scroll past the wrong kind of work, the kind that doesn't match the degree, or the plan, or the sentence your mother said when you were 11. You couldn't see the listing. You didn't need to. You looked back at your screen. The invoices were sorted by crew. You closed the laptop and finished your coffee and left, and you never saw her again. You didn't say anything to her. There was nothing to say that wouldn't sound like advice, and advice was not what she needed. What she needed was the parking garage and the SUV and the 4 minutes of math in the car with the engine idling. She would find it, or she wouldn't. That wasn't yours. 12 months. Same booth, same wobble. Same Keisha, same gold earrings catching the pendant lamp. Same way she leans in when she's listening, even though you haven't said anything worth leaning toward. The receipt is still under the table leg. You put it there a year ago and nobody has moved it, which means nobody has fixed the wobble, which means some things stay exactly where you leave them and you stop noticing. Your phone is face down on the table. You pick it up. $87,412. The business account. The one linked to the name on the invoices, the name on the van, the name on the insurance policy that costs more per month than your first cleaning contract. You know what the number means now. You know what it cost. Not in dollars, in the silence at Donna's table and the question Keisha has never asked, and the phrase, facility services, that you built like a small, perfect wall between what you do and what people think you should do. You are wearing the gray hoodie, the same one. It is not a costume or a statement. It is the thing you put on because you're comfortable and tired, and you earned the right to be both of those things in public without explaining either one. Keisha splits the check. She doesn't look at the total. She never has. You pay your half with the card linked to the business account. The waiter takes the receipt pad. "You seem good," Keisha says. "I am good," you say. And you mean it the way you haven't meant it in a long time. Not performing it, not convincing anyone, just saying a true thing out loud in a restaurant where the booth wobbles and the tape holds and the TV plays nothing, and your best friend has never once asked you to explain yourself. The composition notebook is in your bag, dog-eared, full. You'll need a new one next month. You'll buy it at the same drugstore, and it will cost $3.49, and you will not check the price first. The camera pulls wide, the whole room. 8 tables, 2 rows, the pendant lamps, the tape on the third booth, the condensation on the window, the wobble that nobody fixed. Same restaurant, different woman.